What's up, everybody? It's ya boy, Brandon. It's good to be here with everyone. I'm glad you're all here, that you made it across all of our campuses. So to get things kicked off tonight, I have a just small confession to make. I hate waking up in the morning. I hate it. Why do we have to wake up in the morning, right? Like, I don't like anything about it. I don't like throwing the covers off. I don't like leaving my warm bed. I don't like putting my feet on the cold floor. Like, I don't like anything about it. But guys, this is a big problem for me because I'm like an adult now, and adults apparently love the morning. Like, they just wake up and start doing taxes or something. Like, I don't know what they start doing, but they're very productive in the morning. Meanwhile, I am like a fully dead person coming back to life every single morning. And I'm not talking like the victorious kind of coming back to life, like the Jesus kind of coming back to life. I'm talking like a zombie, okay? Where like me after death is a worse version of me than before I died. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's me every single morning until I get coffee. Can we talk about how great coffee is for a moment? I love coffee so much. Okay, like the first thing that's going through my mind when I wake up in the morning, it's not like, hey, I love Jesus, or even like, hey, I love my wife. It's like, I love coffee. Where is my coffee right now? I need it, need to have it. It is the singular focus in my life, right? And I'm sure that many of you can like share that struggle with waking up in the morning. But isn't it true when we have something to look forward to, it's easier to get out of bed? Like, think about Christmas morning when you were a kid. Didn't you just like stay up all night? You like couldn't wait for Christmas morning to have so you could run out and see what was happening, see what was there for you. Or maybe now for you, it's like a big game is coming up, or a tournament, or a dance recital, or a play is opening up that night. And you can't sleep the night before because you're so excited about what is going to happen next. You see, I think when we have something to look forward to, when something is pulling our attention in the right direction, we can't wait to get out of bed. We look forward to it. We count the hours, and sometimes we don't even sleep. But the problem is, most of us, that is not our normal everyday experience, right? Most of us wake up and go through the rhythm of our day, and we like don't know where we went that day or what we ate. Like, I'm sure if I were to ask what you ate for breakfast this morning, a lot of you wouldn't actually know, right? But it's so easy for us to just kind of go through the rhythm of our day. But the problem is, if we live our life that way, if we have no focus in our life, if we have nothing that excites us and gets us out of bed in the morning, that causes real problems in our life. That causes a feeling of being unsure about who we are. Sometimes they can cause strained relationships because if we don't know who we are, then how can we share that with somebody else? And a lot of times it just leaves us feeling kind of insecure about what we should do after school, where we should go, who we should become. When we don't have something that gets us out of bed every morning that we're excited about, that gives us focus and purpose, we run the risk, we live in the danger of living an aimless life, of living a life where we sacrifice and we give up our potential and our purpose for something totally subpar. So tonight what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend our time talking about the importance of focus. And we're gonna talk about why it matters and how God and the Bible actually give us a lot to focus on. It helps shape what we should put our attention towards so that we can live a better life. We're gonna talk about two ways that God gives you focus in your life. And the first way that God gives you focus in your life is this right here. He teaches you how to guard your heart. He teaches you how to guard your heart. Now, I've always loved playing the game of basketball. I've said that many times before. If you were here last week, then you know that I am not very good at playing basketball. And those two things have always been true. I've always loved the game, and I've never been good at it. But I had a shining moment my 7th grade year. Because my 7th grade year, I was about as tall as I am now when I was in the 7th grade. I was like 6 foot tall in 7th grade, okay? So, this is great because all of my coaches wanted me to play in all of the games. But the caveat was like they didn't want me to touch the ball. Like they didn't want me to like dribble or pass, or like they certainly didn't want me to shoot the ball. All they wanted me to do was stand by our hoop that we were defending throw my hands in the air as high as they would go and swat away anything that came my direction. And guys, I freaking loved my job, okay? Because I would have zero mercy on these puny 7th graders who came my way. And I was like, pop, shapop. I mean, I was like throwing it in their face. I didn't care. It was my moment, okay? It was my job to protect that hoop because I knew if I focused on that one job, I knew if I focused all of my attention and all of my energy on protecting that hoop, that me and my team would have a better chance of winning all of our games. Now, the reason I tell you that story tonight is to remind you that you are the defender of your life, that you are in charge of what comes into your heart and comes into your mind. And that is incredibly important. I can't overemphasize how important it is what you allow into your heart and what you allow into your mind. Because whatever you allow into your heart and your mind will eventually find its way out in some way. I love how Proverbs chapter 4 puts it when it says this, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Above all else, guard your heart. Guard your heart because that's where everything comes from. Now, when the Bible talks about our heart, it's talking about a lot more than that muscle in our chest that keeps us alive. It's talking about the vital essence that makes us who we are. In the eyes of the Bible, our heart is where we get our purpose from, our drive from, and our focus from. It's the place deep within ourselves that influences how we think and how we act. Our heart is who we really are. And the purpose of this verse is to emphasize for us the importance of who we are. Our heart needs to be defended. We have to be on guard about what we let into that place because whatever gets in there, it's coming out in some really vital and important ways. So the question is, how do we do that, right? How do we guard our heart? How do we protect our character and ourselves? Well, let's keep reading. In the very next verse in Proverbs chapter 4, it says this, put away perversity from your mouth. Keep corrupt talk from your lips. So if we're gonna focus our attention on something, if we're gonna protect our heart, which is the wellspring of everything that comes out of us, then the first thing that we need to do is we need to pay attention to what comes out of our mouth. Now, you might be thinking like, that seems a little random, right? I promise you, it is not random. Because whatever is coming out of our mouth is a reflection of everything that we have stored up inside of our hearts. Everything good that's coming out of us, everything bad that's coming out of us is coming from somewhere, right? It just doesn't come out of thin air. Our words are the thermometers of our hearts. So what this means is, if we want to guard our heart, if we want to protect that most special place about who we are, then we need to start paying attention to the way that we use words with our family and our friends and our teachers and our mentors. We have to ask ourselves the question, am I constantly complaining or do I bring solutions to problems? We have to ask ourselves, do we look for opportunities to talk badly about people when they leave the room? Do we use our words to objectify, embarrass, or make fun of other people on a regular basis because it's easy and it's fun? If so, man, that's a reflection of everything that we have stored up inside of ourselves. And what I want you to do for just a moment is I want you to think back on the last week. Think back on the last month or even just today. How did you use your words with other people? What did that feel like? What did that look like for you? Or how did you use your words in a situation that felt unfair to you? That was difficult for you? If you're thinking back on that right now and you're thinking, man, the words that I use are not the kind of words that I would like reflected about who I actually am. If that's you, which is certainly me, I do that on a regular basis, then I want to challenge you to do something that I was challenged to do when I was in high school. And that challenge is this, to start creating a gratitude list. That's a super cheesy name, but that's the only name that I could ever think of it as. Because this is what you do. Every night before you go to bed, you spend 5 to 10 minutes, and you write down 1 to 5 to 10 to as many as you can think of things that you are deeply and genuinely grateful for. Now listen, the cop-out version of this is to write things like Snapchat and Instagram and Five Guys and Chipotle, right? These things that are good in and of themselves, they're not necessarily bad, but no one's actually really gonna have an issue with Chipotle unless they don't put guac on your burrito, but that's a whole different conversation for another time, okay? Don't get me started on that, all right? What I'm saying is, when you put things down that you're really grateful for, they should be in the midst of something that stirs something up inside of you. A situation that brings thoughts and ideas that are negative to the surface in you, you need to find something good there. Or a person that is difficult for you to understand, maybe even hurtful in your life. Is there something good in that person? And if there is, write it down. I'll give you an example of this in my own life. About a year ago, I was in a really difficult position with one of my close friends from college. Him and I have walked through a lot of life together, but we let a small understanding wedge itself in between our friendship, and it pushed us farther and farther apart. And I began to say some really hurtful things and mean and unfair things to him, and certainly about him to everyone else in my friend group. And I did not like who I was becoming. Like, I was not becoming the kind of person that I want to be. My words were not reflecting the person that I hoped to be. So I knew I needed to do something about it. So I started a gratitude list. And every night for like a month or so, I would write things down about how God created this guy in my life, that God loves him, that Jesus died for him, that he is a good husband to his wife, that he cares about his work, that he has character traits that I want in my life. And I just kept reminding myself of that over and over and over again. Now, this didn't kill the drama between us. We still had to figure that out. We still had to work it out together. But what it did do is it made me think twice before I ever said a bad word about him, because I had a whole list of good things to reference. I was filling my heart and my mind with the good about my friend so that when I wanted to say something bad, it was blocked by something really genuinely good. So I've got to ask you tonight, who in your life are you speaking badly of that you need to find the good in? What situation are you in right now that feels unfair, that's stirring up resentment and anger in you, that you need to pause for a moment and try to see the other side of? What in your life is making you resentful that could be and maybe should be making you grateful? My challenge for you is for you to start making these gratitude lists each and every day. And watch how when you change your words, you will guard your heart. Things that you say will come from a purer place. It will be easier for you to maintain health in your relationships. And you will just feel better. Because one thing that anger and resentment and negativity does is it weighs us down in our life. And a lot of the time, it traps us. But gratitude opens doors. So if you want to find focus in your life, start by guarding your heart. Start by guarding the thing that everything else spills out of. And you do that by finding gratitude and good in so many things. So that's the first way to find focus. The second way that God helps us find focus in our life is this. He teaches us this. Do not swerve. Now, the first time I was on a wakeboard was when I was in high school and I was trying to impress my friends, which never actually ends well for me. So you can see where this story is going to go, okay? Here's what happened. My friends invited me to go wakeboarding, and I said, yes, but I've never been on one before, and they were like, it's okay, we'll teach you how to do it. So for like an hour before we got on the boat, they were teaching me like how to hold the rope and how to sit in the water and how to like maneuver my body so that I would stand upright on the board, but they never actually told me what to do once I was on the board, okay? So I get in the water, and after an embarrassing amount of tries to get up, I finally eventually did, and I was cruising along, and it was going okay, but I start to like wobble a little bit, and so I instantly, as soon as I wobble, I look to my feet. As soon as it happened, I looked to my feet. Now, apparently, that is like the last thing you should ever do when you're wakeboarding, because when I looked at my feet, I began to swerve in between the wake of the boat, and I knew that I was eventually gonna fall off hard. And so I knew I needed to signal to the guy who was driving the boat, my friend who was driving the boat, slow down. So I'm signaling like crazy. And what he hears or sees is me telling him, please go as fast as you possibly can. And he takes off, okay? And within 30 seconds, I fly. I'm serious, I wish you could see it. I wish I had a video. I don't, which is probably a good thing for me. But I fly off the handle and flail into the air. And I'm thinking like, I'm about to meet Jesus after one time on a wakeboard. Like this is not a good thing for me. But listen, my problems on that wakeboard started the same way a lot of our problems start. They started when I stopped looking where I was headed and I started to block out everything else and only look at myself. My problems began when I forgot where I was going and I only cared about me. And I do that all the time, way more than I would like. A lot of times the problems we face in life begin to come when we take our eyes off of where we're going and we block everything else and we only focus on ourselves. So I think Proverbs 4, again, helps us frame this up and understand it in a really helpful way when it says this: let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Make level path for your feet and take only ways that are firm. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. Now, the reason Proverbs is telling us to focus on what's right ahead of us, to make sure that we have level path for our feet. It's telling us to not swerve to the right or to the left and to keep our feet from evil is because we need to have God as our focus. We need to have God be the one who is pulling us forward in life. He should be the one guiding our lives because he will take us where we need to go and he will keep us from evil. See, one of my problems on that wakeboard wasn't just that I was looking down and at myself. It was that I did not have a good connection with who was driving my boat. He misunderstood me and took me in the wrong direction, and I paid for it hard. And so I have to ask you the question tonight: who is leading you? Who is leading you in your life? How are your friends influencing you? What about who you watch or who you follow on Instagram or YouTube? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? How are they filling your heart up? Are they leading you in the direction that God is calling you to go, or are they leading you in a different direction? And friends, if your influences are leading you in a different and opposite direction, then I want to challenge you to find a new guide and let that guide be God. Allow God to be the guide of your life. And if he is your guide, then you need a good connection between you and him. And the best connection that I can think of is reading the Bible. Now listen, I get that can sound like very churchy and even like a cop-out answer, but I promise you, the truth about who God is and where he's wanting to take you in your life is found in the pages of the Bible. And so you've got to start reading it. You've got to know who God is and how to follow him in order to have any kind of focus on him in your life. And you might be thinking like, man, Brandon, the Bible is like so old and I don't understand it most of the time and it's confusing to me. Then if that's you, then I want to encourage you to start reading the Bible in the book of Proverbs, the book that we've been talking about tonight. Because this whole book is a bunch of wise sayings that's meant to help people put their whole trust, their whole faith, their whole focus in God and to keep them from moving to the right and to the left in their life, to keep them from evil. And if I'm honest with you, I go back to the Proverbs probably at least 2 times every year. And that's not because I'm a good Christian. That's because that's how often I need to refocus my life on God. I need to, again, pay attention to where he's leading me because I get off course. I slide to the left and to the right, and I pay for it hard every time. So, if you want to find focus in your life, if you want to know where you're going, then I want to challenge you to put your whole focus on God. To not allow any other influence to move you to the right or to move you to the left, but allow him to guide you and direct you. See, friends, focus is not a luxury that we can waste. It's something that once it's gone, it's difficult to regain. And right now in your life, you are deciding what you will focus on for the rest of your life. Think about that for a moment. What you focus on right now will influence who you are 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So whatever you're focusing on, make it good. And my challenge for you is to make it God. And you can do that in two ways. Number one, guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart. Protect anything, any influence that comes into your life. And you can tell where your heart's at by what's coming out of you. If your words are not reflecting the kind of person that you want to be, then change your words so that you can guard your heart. Create gratitude lists. Make 100 of them for all of the different things that are going on in your life. If it changes your heart and your words even a little bit, that's a victory, friend. That's a good thing. And the second thing is, don't swerve. Don't be pushed or pulled to the right or to the left in your life. Focus your attention, focus your life on God. And do it by knowing who he is, by reading the Bible, by paying attention to wise sayings like the book of Proverbs, and allow that to fill your mind and your heart up so that it can give you a better focus on where God is taking you in your life. And if I'm really honest with you guys, the reason I want to give this message is because I need this message. I need it. I want to be the kind of person that wakes up every single morning because I've got a focus for my life. Because I know who I am and where I'm going and what I'm going to do. I want to be the kind of person that has more to celebrate than I do to complain about. I want to be the kind of person that has more things to be grateful for than to resent in my life. I want to be the kind of person that lets God influence and guide every step of my life. And I want the pages of the Bible to remind me what I should be listening for and what I should be looking at. I want God to guide every single one of my steps every single day. And I want all of that and more for every single one of you. So listen to me real quick as I bring this to a close. Do not live your life aimlessly. Don't waste a second of your life without focus. Instead, put all of your focus on God. Commit to following him. And do that by guarding your heart above all else. And do not swerve to the right or to the left. Put your face and your focus and your hope on God. With that, let's pray across all of our campuses. Jesus, God, I pray that you would encourage us tonight. You encourage us to put our attention on you, to listen up, to literally listen upwards towards you, God, so that our focus can be attached to you, so that whatever path we take in our life, wherever we go, whatever we end up doing, we know that we're following in step with you. God, I pray for a tidal wave of gratitude to overcome our students, that we would be a kind of people that would look forward to what you're doing in our lives more than we would get down about what's happening to us. God, I pray that we would be interested in the Bible because we're interested in you. We're interested in where you want to take us and what you want to do in our lives. God, I believe that you are wanting to do incredible things in the students in this ministry. So God, do it and give us the courage to put our focus and our hope in you. We trust you, Lord, and we love you. In Christ's name, amen. Thanks, guys.